Everybody had stories about this house, and I had stories of being there with my grandmother. I spent many summers there with my grandmother, helping her take care of the garden, helping her keep the house up. And you know, inevitably, big North Carolina summer storms would roll in, and my grandma would make me we'd turn off everything in the house, and she'd make me sit in her bedroom, and she would tell me horror stories about what had happened in the past with storms. One of those stories was about this ball lightning. I remember my grandmother telling me that just outside the window there was this big apple tree, and that this ball lightning had come down and split down that apple tree. She also told me that my Aunt Lucille was wearing metal curlers in her hair, which was a no-no during a storm, because that ball lightning came in and rolled around my Aunt Lucille's head. And to me, that was, you know, I'm a 10-year-old girl, and it was scaring me to death. So I grew up with a great fear of thunderstorms for a long time. But when I went around to starting to make these quilts, I was looking at these stories and thinking about my memories about the house.
You're seeing familiar imagery, and it's just, there's just something so engaging about it because of the textures and the color. It's such an untraditional approach to quilting because it's telling stories more than pattern. And I felt like it was really important to bring it here, specifically because of our area and our region. We see a lot of quilting around here. You know, it's a very traditional, like almost folk art medium, but this is a whole new approach. This brings it into fine art. So there's something so emotional about it, and seeing it and experiencing it and all the texture and just everything about it, the color, and it all feels very familiar when you're looking at it. Like you've seen these things. You've seen these things in your own home or your grandparents' home, and you can relate to them, and you want to touch it, you want to feel it, you want to wrap it around yourself. It's comforting. But it also tells a story in a whole new way.
Each one has some sort of a story, so I want to make sure I take my time with them and try to figure out what that could be or what it would mean to me. There's so much work and so much to look at, like all of this extremely like small detail. I feel like every stitch has something that it's trying to say, and I want to try and figure out what that is.
So once again, I feel like I've kind of returned to the quilt and returned to very, very personal narrative type work, but in a completely different type of space. So that's where I am now.